I hope my face is in this thing. Really blurry eye vision I have. 67 years old and my eyes are going bluey. I can see the blue sky really good. You don't need sharp vision to see the blue sky. I look out there and, well, right now the sun's shining through my window. Wonderful. Oh, yes. Anyway, let's talk about something that is dear to my heart. Let's talk about good tally. Now, good tally is all the good thoughts to tell all. And I like to stick with the word that begins with T and tell and to toll and all that stuff. So tally is to tally up all the thoughts to totally tell all, the totality of the tale, or in American English, we just simply say the whole story. I would like to talk about our struggles. Nothing good happened without a struggle. A ballet dancer cannot tell you how to ballet dance. It's impossible if you do not struggle to learn ballet dancing yourself. Matter of fact, if someone that is overweight and out of shape and they can barely walk, and they walk up to a ballet dancer and they ask them, "Will you tell me how to ballet dance?" The ballet dancer will probably look at you like you're crazy and say, I can't tell you how. You're going to have to get yourself in shape first and then struggle to learn to ballet dance. And when the ballet dancer sees that you are struggling, then they gladly will teach you and tell you the techniques. That's true with everything. Back in the day, when my eyes weren't bluey, I started a business after I married my sweetheart, Nancy. And the name of the business is Wonderful World of Wood. And you don't become a master of woodwork unless you struggle with the wood. Now, there are those out there who think that, we woodworkers, we can only work with straight lumber. If all someone can do is only work with perfectly straight lumber, they don't know what it is to struggle with crooked lumber. But a master woodworker can take crooked lumber and glue it together in such a way to another crooked piece of wood and put them together, and you got a perfectly straight piece of wood. But anyway, it's a struggle. You have to learn to work with crooked wood as well as straight wood. And once you get through the struggle, and you struggle with it, and you learn how to work with wood, it becomes easy. And let's see, so what it is with violin playing. I bought my son Benjamin on my birthday, and May the 27th. And to start with, he's struggling with his muscles in his fingers to push the strings on the violin. His finger got sore, his arm got sore, his shoulder got sore, his bow arm got sore. He was sore, and I told him, I said, well, don't fight it. But when you start something, it is a fight, and you got to work through the fight sometimes. And now it is, let's see, I think today is December the 6th, if I got my days right. And now he is doing really well, doing really good. I mean, it's amazing. And now he can relax when he plays the violin. And he's still struggling to master some sounds that are really difficult for beginners to learn. And so he is quickly mastering the violin. but you have to go through the struggle. Now, because I'm a guitar player, I learned to play the guitar when I was about 17 years old in a little old coal miner's town in Trafford, Alabama. And there was a fellow that I worked with. His name is Danny, and he's a master guitarist. He is a Chet Atkins with a guitar. He can hear a song on the radio or any song, I don't care what it is, and he'll play that song. And he started playing the guitar when he was about 6 years old. And, you know, to start with, it was a struggle for him, just like anybody. When you learn something new, it's always a struggle. Well, I told him I want to learn to play the guitar. The first thing I had to do was go buy a guitar. So I went out and bought a guitar, and then I learned the chords on the guitar, and boy, it was hard. Oh my goodness! If you've never had an acoustic guitar, and you know, some people learn on electric guitar, and that's a lot easier because the strings are a whole lot easier to push down. But an acoustic guitar, the strings are higher off the fretboard. Especially them old Martin guitars. They sound good, but they're hard to learn to play on. Well, the guitar I had was a dreadnought style after the style of the Martin guitar. And so off I go. And I put my fingers on the string, and I'm like, ouch. You know, when you push those strings for the first time and the tip of your fingers are pushing, it feels almost like a knife cutting your finger, and it hurt. It really does hurt. And I remember about 2 weeks later, if you look at my fingers, they were bloody. They were bloody. They were red, bloody, and they bled a little bit at one time because I was overdoing it. And so when I was practicing, I had to stop sometime to give my fingers time to heal. And normally I did not give them much time to heal, maybe a day, because I really wanted to learn to play the guitar. Well, after about a month or two passes, my fingers were really tough, and it didn't hurt anymore to push those strings. I went through the struggle. Now, Danny saw that I was determined, and he said, Rodney, there's one thing I notice about you. When you start something, you never quit. You just keep going until you learn it. And I said, well, that's the only way to learn. You can't quit. And there was another fellow that worked in the woodwork shop with me and Danny. His name is Lynn. And he was about a year older than me. So let's say I'm 17. He was about 18 or 19 years old. Well, he bought a guitar. And he wanted to learn also. And after about 2 weeks, I think it was about 2 weeks, he struggled and he quit. He gave up the fight. And about a few years ago, I talked to Lynn in Trafford, Alabama. And it was the first time that I had talked to Lynn since when I was just a young man. And I live in Missouri now. He still lives in Trafford, Alabama. And I asked him, I said, Lynn, have you learned to play the guitar yet? And sadly, he said no. And I told him, I said, well, Lynn, you shouldn't have gave up. You can still learn. You know, you can still learn the guitar. I said, I noticed, I said, Lynn, you know, just stay with it. Don't give up. But he's one of those people that gives up real easily because he can't go through the struggle or the fight or the pain of learning. So to this day, he cannot play the guitar. Maybe he can. Maybe if I call him again, I don't have his phone number. But anyway, if it would be nice, it would make me feel really good if I talk to him again and ask the question, Lynn, have you learned to play the guitar? All I want to hear is, yes, Rodney, I picked the guitar back up again, and I learned to play, and now I'm playing the guitar. I would love to hear him playing the guitar. And that's the way of the master. You know, there are two ways to think, two thoughts. You can think like a master or you can think like a slave. And so when you think like a slave, you know, you're in a state of drudgery, you're in a state of too much trouble, it's too painful, I can't deal with the struggle. But if you think like a master, then you will put your mind to it and you will stick with it, even though it's painful. And you will reach the goal of learning to play the guitar. And then you can be able to say, as I do now, when I pick up my guitar now, it's easy to play because I went through the struggle. So it is with rocket science. My daddy worked for NASA. And he was a technical illustrator. He was the one that would draw the blueprint for the builder to build the rocket. And without these blueprints, well, you're not going to build no rocket. Can't build anything without the blueprint when it's that complicated. Now, rocket science is easy for my daddy. It's easy for me because I grew up in it. And when I was young, I didn't see it as a struggle as I learned the logistic and the physical laws that governs the science of rocket building. And like I say, you know, it's not easy to learn. It's a struggle to learn because there's a lot of questions. And one of the questions that my daddy told me to always ask when he was teaching me something, if I didn't understand something, I would say, why? And he said, that's a good question. Always ask why. So it is with everything else in life. If you want to be a master engineer, building boat engine to start with, it is a struggle. You have to learn the technical details. And you have to tally it all up. And that's another meaning of the word tally, is to tally it all up, to totally add it all up and put all the details together so that after doing so, you can build an engine, you can play the guitar, you can ballet dance, and so forth. Another thing that is really difficult to learn is water skiing. I learned the water ski when I was a little boy. And my daddy taught me, now when you learn the water ski, when you get up on the water, don't fight the water. He said, don't fight it, just relax. And that's easier to do when you're young. So, you know, the first day I learned the water ski, I was having a blast. After a few times of getting up, I think the first time I got up, I think I went about 50 feet. And then I went, ka-punk, fell over in the water. A few more times, I got the hang of it. My balance was really good because I did play football and stuff, and I learned to keep my balance when somebody hits you and you stumble and tumble a little bit, but you want to stay on your feet. And that's what you want to do when you water ski. You want to stay on your feet. Easier said than done if you've never water skied. So anyway, that very first day, oh my goodness, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was zigzagging behind the boat, jumping over the little waves, and it was so much fun. Well, about a few years ago, I told my sons and daughters that, you know, we need a ski boat. And it just so happened, we looked for a long time. I looked for a long time, for about a few weeks, for a good ski boat. And I couldn't find one because it was happening during the time of when America was pretty much locked down. Anyway, it just so happened that Benjamin told me where he worked that right next door to him is a Ford Motor Corporation, a Ford dealer. And they just happened to have a boat out there in the parking lot for sale. And when Benjamin told me about it, I said, well, let's go see it. So we went out on a Saturday morning, and we went to the Ford dealer, and we looked at the boat. And I asked Benjamin, do you want to buy this boat? He said, sure, I want to buy it. So we bought the boat. Oh my goodness, we got a ski boat now. It was just right next to him. It was the good will that happened. That was God's will for us to have that boat. Oh my goodness, and that's a wonderful story behind that, by the way. But anyway, so the boat came with some water skis. Too small for me, but and I weigh about 200 pounds. Well, at the time when I started skiing again, I weighed about 215 to 220 pounds. I was a little bit out of shape. So anyway, some of my sons and daughters, Benjamin, Diane, Samuel, and Brian. Brian, he was the driver of the boat. We call him Skipper Brian. Anyway, when they started learning, it was a struggle. They would get up, fall over, get up, fall over, get up, fall over. And I told them, I said, well, it'd be easier if y'all were younger and, and more used to physical difficulties of, the water skiing. So anyway, after a while, after much struggle, they all learned to water ski. And it's fun to see people struggle. The struggle is the hardest part to get through. Now, as they struggle, then I was able to give them some tips. And you don't give tips to people that don't do it if they don't want to do it. Like my friend Lynn in Trafford, Alabama, I cannot give him tips right now on the guitar except just grab the guitar and stay with it. But if you're not going to stay with it and not struggle, then I can't help him. So anyway, they listened to my tips, and now they learn to ski on two. That you always start on two. Now they slalom ski. And now it's a joy that Samuel and Diane and Benjamin can slalom ski. Now, Brian, he knows how to ski on two, and he has yet to ski on one because as the skipper of the boat, I think he just liked driving the boat mostly. But now it's his turn to learn to ski on one ski. And the hardest part about that is the balance. And it is a struggle. If you've never done it, it's really difficult. I learned to ski on one in Mobile, Alabama, on the Dog River. I was about, how was I? 8th grade. I was about 14 years old. And that was back in some late 1960s. And I learned to ski on one. And then after I learned to ski on one, my daddy wanted to learn to ski on one because he always skied on two. He bought him a slalom ski, and he learned to ski on one. It's a lot of fun, a lot of struggle. But anyway, the purpose of this particular video is to all you folks out there, learn to get it in your head that anything that you want to master, it's a struggle when you first start. It feels like you're fighting it. And it is, in a way, it is a fight. But if you get through the fight and you get through the pain. Now, speaking of pain, I forgot to mention pain in water skiing. All of my sons and daughters that struggle with skiing, they also struggle with something else. Pain, muscle ache, joint ache. It hurt. Your shoulders hurt, your back hurt, your leg hurt, your feet hurt. It does. It hurt. If you've never done it before and you're using muscles you've never used before, it really hurts. It really does, the struggle. And so, unfortunately, a lot of people, they give up because of the pain of the struggle. But if you work through that pain, and I made a promise to them, once you learn how, and once you master the art of slalom skiing, doesn't hurt anymore. Your muscles are going to be great. You might get a touch sore when you really go all out, but you've gone through the hard part, the pain of the struggle. And so it is with every good thing that you wish to master. All you folks out there, I want everyone to be a master. I want all the people of the world, all people, to be masters. I want them to do good, all of us to do good. I want everyone to master the art of all good things. And so I think that might be enough right now for this particular video. So the purpose of this video is to psychologically get people in the mindset that you can do it if you are willing to struggle and don't give up. Stay at it. And so it is with anything else in life. If I understand something such as, now here is a struggle, it's a mental struggle. And so I have started a program, and I have decided to call it the Archaic Art of Primitive Association. Now, to those who have never delved into the art of primitive association, to start with, the question is, what does that even mean? Well, I understand it really easily because I've gone through many years of struggling to learn how the ancient people, how our ancestors of old were able to study the world around them. And they study earth, fire, and water and air, which is all primitive. You know, the lofty air that we breathe, it's primitive. The splashy, wavy water that we drink, that water is primitive. The land and its shape and the terrain and all the mountains and hills and all the vegetation on the land, that fertile ground that plants grow in is primitive. And then we have fire. Fire is the same now as it was, thousands of years ago. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see the fire or not. There you go. See, there's a fire. See? Well, there you go. See? There's fire. See? I hope it's in the camera. See? Well, that fire operates the same now as it did in the beginning of the world because it's primitive. And it takes a struggle to look at all these things around us and to relate our mouth, which has a teeth. I don't have all my teeth. That teeth got broken when I was little playing rough sports and all that good stuff. And well, anyway, let's see, I got 22 teeth. 10 of my teeth are missing. Wish I had all of them. Through the ravage of time and all, well, I've lost some of my teeth. Oh, I wish my son Benjamin, he's never had a cavity since he's been born. He's 30-something years old. And when he smiles, his teeth just glitter. They shine. You talking about some good-looking teeth. But anyway, you got my teeth. That's primitive. You got my tongue. Tongue is primitive. My body is primitive. My ability to drink water is primitive. But there's something else that is not primitive. It's called original thought. And so with that, I can get your feet wet a little bit in a simple lesson on how to begin to understand the archaic art of primitive association. And here we go. Now, we use our thought to associate something. So let's use air. You know, air is primitive. Now let's use my teeth. My teeth are primitive. Now I'm going to blow air through my teeth and listen what happened. Shh. Wow, that's interesting. And now I'm going to associate. I said, well, if I hear that shh sound, it's associated with my teeth. I'm thinking, and it's voiceless. Your voice cannot make that sound. My voice can go, oh, I close my teeth and activate my voice. Oh, shh. Oh, shh. See? Like shh, like voiceless. You can't make that with your voice. Neither can your teeth say ah. Oh my goodness. And so when you go to the dentist and the dentist wants you to open your mouth wide open, he'll tell you, say ah, ah, so he can get his finger in your mouth, and that reminds me, sometimes I ask a dentist questions like, have you ever been bit? And they said, oh yeah. They said they worked on little children, and one dentist was telling me the child bit so hard, I think it made his finger bleed. The child went, let go, ow! He had to struggle to get his finger out of the child's mouth. Oh my goodness, I can imagine that does hurt, especially when you're young and your teeth are really sharp. Woo! That happened to me a few times growing up. I accidentally would stick my finger in a child's mouth, or I don't know, what did I do that for? Maybe I don't know. I don't know all the good reasons why you want to stick your finger in a child's mouth. Maybe they got something. Oh, that's it. I remember some of our children growing up. Sometimes they stick something in their mouth that doesn't belong there, and I'll say, now spit that out. And a little child, about 2 years old or 3 years old, they already got their sharp teeth. And I say, I get that idea, and I spit that out. And sometimes they just look at you like, So I stick my finger in their mouth. All right, get that out. And when I'm trying to get it out, sometimes I get bit. Ow! One time I got bit so hard, I looked at my finger and it had the impressions of a teeth in it, and it hurt. Oh my goodness, you talking about hurting? Well, that's one of the struggles of raising children. You gotta take the bite sometimes. But anyway, let's get back to my teeth. You're making that shh sound. Now, my mom, she was a master of making clothes, shirt, dresses, and wedding dresses. One time she was making a wedding dress. It was way back in the 1960s, and she said she was making it for a neighbor, and her neighbor was paying her to make the wedding dress. And I said, Mom, how much is she paying you? And Mom said $90, and at that time, $90 was a lot of money. I go, $90? I'm like, whoa, $90 for a wedding dress? And I said the same thing to my grandmother. She was crocheting a bedspread, and it took about a month to crochet it. And I asked my grandmother, I said, Granny, how much is your neighbor paying you for that? And she said $90. And then again, I'm like, $90? Whoa, I guess they're stuck on $90. But anyway, it's the struggle for anybody to become a master. My mom had the struggle to start with to learn how to sew. And my grandmother had to learn to crochet when she was a little girl. And it's a struggle learning, but once you get through the struggle, it's easy after that. But anyway, my mother, she had these golden scissors. I call them scissors. And she always told me, don't you ever grab my scissors and cut paper with it. But she called them something else. She called them shears. And at the time, I said, why do they call them shears? And then she said, well, you take the shears and you shear the cloth into. And shear begins with shh. So there's a lot of words that are used in the English tongue when it starts with that sharp. Oh, there's the word sharp. Shh. And so my mom would take these golden shears and shear the cloth into. And so you use your teeth to shh. And now I'll end this lesson. Here's a lemon. I don't know which end is open. I punched a little holes in it. Well, this lemon's almost empty. Well, I'm going to shear off that part of the lemon right there with my teeth. And while I shear that off, I'm going to blow air while I'm doing it like this. See? Now I'm going to bite. Now I'm going to shear that part in two, making that shh sound. See? So now you're learning a little bit about the archaic art of primitive association. You associate the primitive action of air blowing through your teeth, shh. Then you put a thought in your head. I'm going to make a word that begins with shh. That means to shear something in two. Now I'm going to make another sound with my teeth, and it's more powerful than the shh. Now, if I had a perfect set of teeth, it would come out better. Here we go. That's that. And that's that sound we use to make words like chop. Remember, it's voiceless. You can't make that sound with the voice, but you start the word with ch, and then you go chop. Or you say chew. See? Chew. Ooh is the voice. Ooh. And you add ooh and chew. Together you get chew. See? Chew. And so the chop part is voiceless. And your teeth are voiceless, by the way. And well, I'm going to chop this lemon in two. I'm not going to go shh and shear it. Now what? I'm going to chop it. Notice I made the ch sound. I'm going to do this one. Chew. See? Now I'm going to. See? So chop is faster than that. It's faster than shh. Chew. It's a sudden chew. So your teeth are suddenly chew. Yeah. So it is a struggle to those who have never thought about these things in learning the archaic art of primitive association. And another thing I would like to point out is it's always absolute. There's no question about it. Nature is absolute. And the archaic art of primitive association, I will only tell you that it's absolute. 100% sure. 100%, no question about it. Absolutely. I know why we say shear. And then another time we'll talk about that sound and all the sound that's associated with our primitive mouth. But when we associate these sounds with the action, we make up a word so that we can tell someone else. And my mom could say, hey, honey, grab those shears and shear this cloth for me. That is original thought. Original thought is putting all this association together. And it is a struggle to learn. And I have gone through the struggle for about 20 years now. And now it's easy. Now I go out in the real world and I see all these primitive things around me and I associate them. And now I have found many words that I can absolutely say I understand how my ancestors of old were able to coin these words using original thought and the proper association with that word is exciting. It's really a wonderful thing to learn. And learning is a struggle. So I think I've said enough. And I would like for all of you folks out there that are willing to go through the struggle of thinking and having good thought. And remember, the good tally is the good thoughts to totally tell. And that's what we want. We want to tally it all up so that we can tell the total of the good tally, the good tale, and leave no stone unturned as we master the archaic art of primitive association. See all you folks out there, and I would like to give the master shaper, the master creator of the sun, earth, and moon, for the wonderful engineering of all these things and giving me a mouth that engineered in such a way that I can associate the actions of my mouth with the action in the real world and be able to communicate with others to give that understanding. And if somebody does not understand what I'm saying, does not mean that I don't understand. If I try to tell somebody how to do woodwork and they've never struggled with wood and they don't understand they can't do it, don't mean I can't do it. And the same thing is with the art of word engineering, making word, coming up with original thought and original thinking and putting it all together and tally it all up so we can have the totality of understanding the good tally that gives us that ability to communicate the tale, the good tale, the good tally. See you, folk.